Hello.
Hello. I thought you forgot the webinar.
I
Really
was I was making a
sorry.
I was making a change on my on the program, and then my wife said, "You should be on now." Wow.
I thought you forgot the webinar, and I think, what should I do now?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, let's share the screen.
And you can hear me loud and clear
Yeah, I can hear you.
and see me. Wow.
Okay. It's
Ooh.
really so excited. Oh, you're excited. Yes, relief. But oh, maybe Amala is in a bad internet connection, so uh probably we need to wait him for a couple minutes. So sorry for that. Okay, thank you. Thank you, all of them. All of you. Thank you. Okay, you are back.
I'm back. Oh wow.
Okay.
Oh, this time I'm here. Now I have to
Okay,
share.
are you in bad internet connection now?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's try again.
Okay.
Okay,
Bismillah.
okay.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa
Okay, I will close my voice. Okay, so
Okay.
let's start. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good afternoon here from the UK, in Norwich, in the UK. Hope everybody can hear me well. Let me see if I can see the chats while I'm here. Okay. First person I saw was from Scotland, then Virginia, then hello. Okay, brilliant. Forest, Virginia. Brilliant. Okay, so people can hear me. That's a great start. My name is Amal Douglas, your Spooky2 trainer, Spooky2 certified trainer now, actually. And I'm giving today's presentation is about getting off to a flying start with your Generator X Pro Essential Kit. So this is really for people who either they've just started and the first bit of kit they got was the Generator X Pro Essential Kit, um, or you've been around a while and you want to make better use of your kit. Okay, so these are some of the things we'll touch on today, and it's all about pointing people, pointing you in the right direction, as opposed to giving sort of detailed uh, live presentations as such, although there'll be a little bit of that. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Royal Rimmed Rife and killing versus healing. We'll look what's in the box, some of the main things you can do, and also there'll obviously be a Q&A at the end if you have any questions, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. So just a brief recap. Obviously, I think everybody should try and get to know as much as they can about the life of Royal Raymond Rife, the if you like, and particularly his work in the 1920s, 1930s, when he created the first, you could say, Rife machine because it's named after him. When and he also invented what we call the universal microscope, when he could see pathogens under the microscope, and he started to kill them using his plasma tubes, using frequencies. And as you can see, major headlines. People think this is the end of all diseases. And the story many of you will know is that he basically got shut down, got targeted, and became very difficult. The people who supported him got targeted, and but thankfully people have kept it alive. Much of his research was still there, and people kept it alive. And then we come down to our time with John White, the main man behind Spooky2, and his creation of the Spooky2 generator, beginning with the XM generator. That's the blue generator you can see at the bottom. And then now the Generator X Pro, which we're talking about today, which is 2 generators in one. And there are other bits of equipment which we can probably mention at the end that are also part of the Spooky2 stable, if you like. So again, I'm pointing in the right direction. So the more you can find out about the work of Royal Raymond Rife, I think the more you'll be inspired. So many of you are coming from different backgrounds, and I think according to your background, you will have a different advantage. So some people are very technical. For example, I find people I work with who deal with music, they know about harmonics, they understand frequencies and the way it works from a very technical side. You have people who are therapists, become health therapists, they come about it from a different angle. They come already from a healing background and knowing about healing. You have people who are just very technical and just understand the way the machine works much better than I do right from the off. And so wherever you're coming from, that will give you a sort of an advantage or a starting point. And also many of you would have come at it from perhaps having a particular sickness or chronic sickness. You may have tried many different things and you were told that, something called bioresonance or biofrequencies might be helpful. And somehow you've been led to the Spooky2 machine. And maybe that's all you're using it for, or maybe you used it for that and now wonder what else to do with it. So from my own perspective, in terms of healing, I will, well, first of all, I mean, I'm not a healer by, if you like, profession in the sense that I came to healing naturally just as part of a community. Many years ago, 20 odd more years ago, we used to make herbal tonics and I used to sell them in London, a place called Camden Market. And I saw firsthand how great were these herbal remedies in helping people. And in terms of a business, it's wonderful to be selling something that helps people. So I never left that, and we've been involved in various different healing practices, if you like, over the many or a couple of decades now. So my understanding is that all illnesses come from either a blockage, a deficiency, or pathogens in your body. Pathogens being viruses, bacteria, fungi, etc. And that the way to deal with these things is to identify and eliminate the pathogens, bacteria, parasites, etc., toxins, unblock channels that are blocked, reduce intake of things that are killing us, if you like, restore the strength and flexibility of our organs and limbs, and build up the immune system. Spooky2 and your Generator X Pro can definitely deal with 3 out of 5 of those things. It can help eliminate, identify, and eliminate the unwanted antigens, pathogens, and toxins, parasites, viruses. It can help to restore the strength and flexibility of your organs and limbs, and it definitely can help build up the immune system and production of antibodies. So those are probably the 3 things I will talk about today, and I'm sure others may have a different take on on that particular slide. That's fine. Perhaps the first question that comes up for many people is killing versus healing, because if you watch a lot of the webinars and so on and talk to a lot of people about Spooky2 and using it, they'll talk about using a healing shell or a killing shell when you're running certain programs, and sometimes that can be a little confusing. So in a nutshell, when we talk about healing, we're talking about building immunity and improving the efficiency of organs. And normally we use something called a sine wave. The machine will produce something called a sine wave. In the presets for healing are normally a sine wave, a very smooth wave of sending the pathogens, the frequencies to your body. And there are also healing presets where there are selected programs and protocols already set up for you. You just have to click a button and you can use those healing presets. There are also then killing in terms of the Spooky2. It's really you want to kill either something that's been diagnosed, someone has told you you have this, you have a tapeworm, you have something else in your body, you have this bacteria, this parasite, this fungus. So therefore you want to run a killing program to kill those identified pathogens. And also we do what we call biofeedback scans, which I'll talk about shortly. And that's in order to identify pathogens, which we can then, attack and kill. So that's the healing versus killing. And again, if you do have questions, you can put them in the Q&A. There's a Q&A button there somewhere. If you write that, we'll see it at the end of the presentation. So in the box, most of you, if you obviously you've got the box, you've got a Generator X Pro, you've got a couple of remotes, a sample digitizer. We'll go through these in a bit more detail shortly. A PEMF coil, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, cold laser wrist and a cold laser twin, TENS pads. The pads you stick in your body will come in a pack and use them in pairs. The hand cylinders, and you may or may not have stickers, digitizer slides or digitizer slides. You'll have those. You may not have the glasses. Sometimes Spooky2 might include the glasses you use when using the cold laser to protect your eyes. And I'm assuming there'll be a booklet for most of you. So now we got into the box, we'll talk about the sort of two modes of healing. And remember that everything about the Generator X Pro is about getting frequencies into your body. And then the frequencies themselves will, if you like, do the work of either killing or nourishing or your healing. So what we want to do is get the right frequencies into our body. And there are two basic modes with the Generator X Pro. One is contact and one is remote. And in terms of contact mode, I'm going quite fast. I have a few slides, so I want to. In terms of contact mode, I call it the hardwired option. This is where you're actually, if you like, attached to the Generator X. The frequencies are running through wires and through the accessories directly into your body. You're holding something or something is attached to you or you're touching something. So we have first of all, the hand cylinders to the left, the hand cylinders, and then the TENS pads. Both of those are connected to the Spooky2 generator via something we call the TENS cable, the black and red cable. So the hand cylinders you hold in your hand, your left, right hand. So you have more. And the TENS pads you'll stick onto your body. And depending on what you're doing and where you're targeting, will depend where you stick the TENS pads. And they usually got to be at least a few 5 millimeters or so apart, I think, at least. And often they'll be around the stomach area, but there are other times for putting it closer to where you want to treat if you're targeting somewhere directly. There is a PEMF coil, which is the pulsed electromagnetic frequency coil, the black thing with the circle in it there. Oops, we've gone back. That one you attach directly to the generator, and often people use it for targeting pain and often place the coil directly against where they're feeling pain. That's probably the most often used for that. And then you have the two cold laser accessories. You have the cold laser wrist and the cold laser twin. The cold laser wrist, you can put elsewhere, but often people put it around their wrist, and it has three red laser lights at the back of it, and which goes quite deep into your skin. This red laser. So it's often used to treat things to do with blood or carpal tunnel syndrome or something like that. And people tend to put it here because all the blood vessels that pass through that part of the wrist. And you also have another cold laser called the cold laser twin next to it, which has two laser lights protruding from it. And people often will also use that to target quite often pain, but other things, but not always pain. And You can put them in your mouth. Sometimes people have even put them in the ears or up their nose. And it's another way of getting that cold laser treatment, if you like, frequencies into your body that way. So those are the sort of 5 main accessories that will use for contact mode. So I said contact mode is getting the frequencies directly into your body, touching directly from the generator into your body via a cable or direct touch. And that's probably easier to get a head around. So the other mode is called remote. So for some of you, this will be some of you, I'm sure, probably very used to it. For others, it's a harder thing to get your head around how it works. So the term used is quantum entanglement. And when you mention quantum entanglement to some people, and you explain how Spooky2 works, they'll say, that's not quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is something else, very scientific. Other people will say, "Oh yes, I remember quantum entanglement," and they'll tell you of the example they'll give you is of some sort of I don't know, asteroid or something um, splitting into two in space, and the two parts going off in two opposite directions, and then one part being hit by a meteorite or something and whacked it so hard that it veered 90 degrees, if you like, off course. And then at the same time, the other half that was somewhere else, also at that immediate moment, also taking a 90-degree right turn, because there's something about them still being linked, things that work together still being linked. And for those of you who know, deal with sort of energy and you have those energy cameras, you may know of the experience where people take a picture of a leaf and they can see the energy around the leaf, the kind of energy glow around the leaf. And when they've cut the leaf and moved one part of it, and they've gone back and taken a picture, the outline of the whole leaf is still there. So there's still some attachment. And Spooky2 Remote works like that. You have the small remote, and if you put some of your DNA in there, normally a fingernail, if you put fingernail in the remote, you can still send frequencies to that fingernail, and it will affect the person. Normally, they say to keep the fingernail fresh for maybe a month or so. Others, I've used it much longer than that. And if you're not sure about this, you just have to try it. And the more you try it, the more you'll get used to it, and you'll know it works. So yeah, so definitely try it. But that's the remote mode, and it's very, very, very useful. And you always connect the remote to the boost, and I'll show you how that's done later. Well, I won't. I'll talk about it later. So this is the boost. And I blow this up especially for myself, actually, this picture, because when you look at the boost, it's quite small. It's hard to make out the writing on it. So when you connect the remote, it's always connected to the Spooky2 boost, and you connect it to the BN or Bio North port at the bottom. When you connect the boost to the generator, you can still connect as normal, out one, out two, because it has the out one, out two ports there. But it also has a high power contact port, and it has a colloidal silver port or low power port. And when you're running specific programs or protocols, you may be advised to use the high power contact or the low power contact port. But it's if you've got eyes as bad as me, it's probably good to keep a blown up picture like this so you don't have to squint. Now, in terms of the hardware, this webinar, we're not going to focus on setting up the hardware as such, but what I have found invaluable are these very short videos that you can find on the Spooky2 website and on the Spooky2 YouTube channel. They're all sort of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, and they show you, how to connect the boost, how to set up the cold laser wrist, and physically set it up on the physically set it up. So I would highly recommend, and well, almost say it's compulsory to go through these short videos, whatever you're doing, anything you want to set up, especially physically, go to these short videos and keep at them and keep following them until it becomes second nature to you. And to be honest, I never really stopped going back to them and using them. Of course, some things you use every day, so you become familiar with, but they are very, very useful. And, plugging in the generator, attaching the computer to the generator, etc. Yeah, all done in 2, 3 minutes. So I highly, highly recommend those. So we're going to look at what's in the software. So we'll be going to what we call the Home tab when you go to the Presets tab in the software, and you open the software. You always go back to what I call, use that green little house button there. Always go back home. Whoops. Always go back to the Home button. Start from there, and you'll see these things in front of you. It's biofeedback, detox, heal, shell empty presets, etc. So you always go back to Home, and that's where we start from. So I call this the no-brainer because it's the program database. Spooky2 has over 50,000 programs in the database. I don't know if you know, that's a wonderful, wonderful asset. If you have something, it means anybody can open the box basically Spooky2 and get starting to heal whatever you have, whatever your ailments you have, whatever condition you have, you can begin to heal it or attack it within minutes, if you like, because of this wonderful database. You don't have to do any analysis. So, whatever you've got, you can find a program. I'll go into a bit more detail. So I call it the no-brainer. So in these 50 odd thousand programs, you'll see that they have sort of prefixes to them or after them, suffixes, if you like, initials. And they are sort of sub-databases within the main program. And they all mean something. So, for example, if you see BFB, that will be biofeedback scans that you've saved. They'll be saved there. If you see BIO, they come from uh, Russian research. I actually do like those a lot, actually. VEGA is also Russian. RUSS, as you guessed, is also Russian research. CAFL from Rife experimenters, invaluable experimenters over the years. They put those programs together. CUST stands for like custom database. When you custom programs, when you make your own programs, you will save them in that with them. They'll be in the custom database, CUST. DNA is a whole other thing that Spooky2 have developed that targets DNA. You've got ETF German programs. H is Hulda Clark and KHZ. They're both programs which are usually connected to what's called FSM, frequency specific microcurrent FSM programs. And you use a different protocol when you're running them because they're sort of low power and they tend to be lower frequencies and generally for healing, not so much killing. And so if you know anybody doing FSM, Spooky2 is a fantastic FSM machine and has got all the programs in it already. MW, we call them molecular weights, and they are frequencies that emulate supplements and drugs and molecules. And if you want the benefits of those, you can go to the MW database. PROV, consistent programs that have done really well. Again, I use those. If I find a program with those, I'll tend to use those as well. Rife are the original frequencies from Dr. Roy Raymond Rife. SD are programs derived from your sample digitizer, which we'll talk about soon, and HTRA, another set of data. They're all fantastic databases, all with their merits. So if you, as you'll see, you have a choice when you try to search for a particular program, you'll have a choice of programs. So you'll learn which of these you want to choose first and experiment. So when you're looking for something, for example, in the top slide, I'm showing if you were looking for something like gout, you would go to the program database, type in gout, and then you can see a list of all these different 42. You can see 42 programs have come up that relate to what we call gout, including programs to do with arthritis, etc. So you see there's a whole myriad. And so from there, you can choose which of those programs you want to try. And you'll see that they all have a different number of frequencies within them. And therefore they run for according to the number of frequencies in them, usually 3 minutes per frequency. So that's what the time represents. Okay. And then also below, I've typed in something like asthma, and you can see there they have 158 programs that relate to asthma. You know, bronchial things, cat diseases, you know, essential oils. So that's how comprehensive the database is. That's why I say it's a no-brainer. You can straight out of the box, you know, begin to treat something for yourself or someone else. Now, we'll show that's done. So how would you run a program? I'll talk you through it too. So if you can take a note of this, this is what you do, if you like, decide what you want to treat, decide how you want to apply the frequency. You know, do you want to use remote? Do you want to use contact? You're using contact. Are you going to use the TENS pads, stick them on your body? Or are you going to hold the cylinders? And then you go to those quick videos to see how to set it up. Then you, on your software, you go to the Home tab, Presets tab, Home. You go to Shell Empty Presets. You click on that. You choose the appropriate preset that you want. For example, the one I'm showing you, Shell Empty Presets Healing CJW. The C standing for contact, the JW standing for John White because he created that preset. You go then to the Programs tab. You'll select and load one or more programs. For example, like I showed you with asthma. You'll hit the Control tab after that. You'll overwrite the generator, select the generator you want, for example, generator 2, and you'll hit the Start button. It's very easy. I will run through that with you, and you'll see it's exactly as I described. So, as I said, you always go to the Home button. In this instance, you will go to Shell Empty Presets. You use that quite often, Shell Empty Presets. In this instance, we are going to go contact mode. So we selected contact, and then we're going to choose the preset we want to use, which in this instance, we'll say it's a healing preset, okay? Healing, because we're not necessarily trying to kill a pathogen. You probably could use this in killing mode. Then we'll go to the presets, the program tab, as you can see. Oh, sorry, we're doing gallstones here. This one is actually gallstones. And yeah, that's why the healing tab, because it's gallstones. Okay, so you've gone taped in gallstones, and then as you see, you can see you have a number of programs to choose. You have you can choose that. I've chosen the RUSSS one, the one for the Russian one, and I've added it. But I'm also going to go back and add another one, the BIO. I said I like BIO. So I'm going to choose the BIO one as well. And if you look down the bottom, there's something that says remove duplicate frequencies. So actually, all the programs in that first one are actually in the second one. So I may as well have just chosen that one first, but that's the way it is. And you can see and then we go to the Control tab. We overwrite the generator. In this instance, I'm going to use generator 4 because that's my free generator. You see the time it's going to take. You can see the frequencies, and then we just push the Start button. And you'll see it's starting to begin. You see the generator's gone green, but also, yeah, you'll see the generator's gone green, and we're away. So that really is just like I said, that's how to just pick a program and run it. And you just have to practice that and get used to doing that until it becomes second nature. It's very, very easy. Now, within those databases I talked about, there are also sub-databases, which some of you will find very useful. So, for example, I want to say sub-databases. They're actually collections of programs that are in those sub-databases. So, for example, if you use batch flower remedies, the frequencies equivalent to all of those, is it 30 or so batch flower remedies? All of them are in that XTRA database, if you like, sub-database. All of them can be found in that database. There are special programs related to all the meridians. Almost every mineral you can think of that you'd want to use is also in that XTRA database. Nogia ear frequencies, if anybody uses those. I talked about the Van Gelder and FSM frequencies. They're also in the XTRA, as are special programs for vitamin deficiencies. Essential oils are in the SD, if you like, sub-database, because they were all derived from the sample digitizer. They will sort of put some on it and then they were scanned and saw what the frequency related to. Special frequencies for your different chakras are in the ALT database. Others relating to the solar system, special frequencies, which I've never used, to be honest. And there's also something called a Jade machine color code, which I know people who use color therapy. So there are frequencies relating to those colors inside the Spooky2 database. And also there are, in the ETDFL and other programs, there are 100+ named cancers. If we're dealing with a particular cancer, it's in like colon cancer. It's a named frequency to deal with those things. So again, this is a very, very comprehensive database if you're looking for something, or if you already use some of these other forms of treatment that you can complement what you're doing. In the molecular weights database, you have organic compounds like phosphates, keto acids. You have pharmaceutical formula like ibuprofen, pregabalin, and you have vitamins like V12, K7, etc. They are all in the molecular weights database. So basically, you can go online and find out the molecular weight of certain substances, and that Spooky2 automatically, if you put in that molecular weight, it will convert it to a frequency. And the use of why would you use that? People use it for treating people with addictions, emulating a trusted medicine without the harmful side effects, saving money. Obviously, you can complement, ivermectin tablets with ivermectin frequencies, and for imprinting, which we will again mention later on. Also, if you're looking at the sticking with healing, you have the sorry, in terms of the raised hands, it's best to put the question in the Q&A, and I'll try and answer it later, or Zara may actually answer it in the chat before I get there. And in terms of healing, you'll find there are healing presets. If you go again back home and you go to heal, you see it in the main menu. And for example, in this instance, you click on the remote. When you click that, you will see that there are 6 or 7 programs that come up, which are healing protocols, which you can just select and run. There is like a multivitamin and minerals program, which if you click on it, it runs for 4 hours, and it starts automatically at 1 o'clock in the morning and runs to 5 a.m. in the morning, whatever time your computer's in. And that will run a whole host of minerals and vitamins, and very useful. I've used it a few times, and people really do notice the effects of it. There's immune system stimulation, healing and regeneration. And last night I decided to run the eyesight to improve on myself. I needed to, and I'll probably keep running that for a while. And there's also a daily wellness program, which runs for 24 hours on remote. So, and it includes both the healing and regeneration, the immune system stimulation, and the multivitamins and minerals, and it runs for 24 hours. So again, you can just run these healing programs straight out of the box. And this is in remote mode. Just stick your DNA in for either yourself or for someone else. And some of these programs also run on contact, and you run it for 3 hours. So again, straight out of the box, you can use these healing presets. Also, we have something called the terrain detox protocol. When you go home, you'll see detox. And this is the program that it's highly recommended that you use on everybody before you start treating them with any rife treatments with Spooky2. It's recommended that everybody, ourselves, your patients, your clients, that you run the terrain detox protocol, which runs for 11 days, 24/7 in remote mode. And again, it's talking through it. Again, if you need to set up, you'll go to those short videos I mentioned on the Spooky2 YouTube channel, which will help you with the setup mode. But what you're going to do basically is sort of going backwards here. Put that DNA sample, probably the fingernail, into the remote. Close the remote. Add the remote to the BN port, bottom left-hand side port on the Spooky2 boost, and then you're going to attach the boost to your generator. Let's say generator 1. Okay, and then you're going to go to the home, the detox button, and you'll see remote, just remote, and then you go to the terrain, R for remote, BY. That will be your preset. You go to the control tab, overwrite generator 1, and you'll start. Sounds easy. So just to show you quickly, I said go home. We're there already, but we click the home button. We'll go down to detox. And then when we've got to the detox, we shall go to remote. And there are various types of terrain, but I won't go through them now. There is, in fact, I think the last program, the webinar I did was on the terrain detox. We will push terrain RBY, which is terrain remote. That's one we go to, the normal terrain. We'll go to the control tab, overwrite generator. In this case, we'll take generator 4, and we shall start. You said it runs for 11 days, and there are 15 presets in total, and it automatically changes from one preset to another. We'll push the start button, and you'll see that it's automatically starts with the first preset, which is remove metals. Okay. I'm going to stop that for a moment because if for some reason your computer or your generation should stop and you're in the middle of the terrain detox and you need to start again from wherever you are, let's say you were you're at preset 6. All you do is do the same thing, but you go to where it says presets, type in 6, and start the program again, and it will start again from preset 6. And you see preset 6 is actually remove intestinal toxins. Okay, so that is how to run the terrain 11-day remote terrain detox protocol, which it's recommended, and I recommend you start everybody with. It's cleaning out your body as a good start, a good detox. It's almost like making space for the frequencies to work and not be blocked. And people will tell you that they notice different things. And as I said, there are different terrain protocols, but for that I suggest you go to the Spooky2 Academy and look for a webinar on the terrain protocol. In fact, look for my webinar on the terrain protocol, which I gave a couple of months ago, I think. So that's the terrain protocol, and that's where you should be starting everybody. The other thing now, I call this the game changer. So we've looked at the programs that are already loaded. We've gone to the database, and we know how to select programs and run them in a healing or killing shell. We know how to run that invaluable terrain detox program, which we should be running on ourselves at least twice a year, possibly 3 times a year. some do it more. And now what we come to what I call the game changer, the biofeedback scan, something you could say exclusive to Spooky2, which is a lot of power in our hands. There are different types of scans, biofeedback scans. And what biofeedback does, what Spooky2 enables us to do is to scan our own bodies or someone else's body generally using the TENS pads and looking for signs of those pathogens, those harmful pathogens that are in our body. As we said, so many illnesses come from harmful pathogens in the body, and viruses and bacteria and fungi, etc. And most of these pathogens resonate, we say, like the hertz, the number of hertz they resonate at, the frequency. They resonate normally between a set number of frequencies, a set range of frequencies. So what Spooky2 does, it will search your body for those frequencies. You'll scan and all these frequencies will be sent to your body. And if something's in there, it detects, it will sort of hit them, if you like. And will detect that you do have these frequencies in your body that normally relate to a particular pathogen, a particular type of worm, a particular fungus, a particular bacteria they relate to normally. And the biofeedback scan will detect that these are in your body and will give what we call a list of hits, a list of numbers, and it will say, right at this moment, these are making the most noise. They're the ones that are most easily detectable. Doesn't always mean that they are the ones causing you most harm, but right at that moment, they are making the most noise. So if you've got a touch of the flu, that will be making the most noise at that moment, but it may not be the things that's been harming you on a long-term basis. So you get those frequencies, and without knowing what they are, you can actually run a program on. You can run a killing protocol on them. You can just say, run those scans and kill those pathogens. You can tell Spooky2 to do that without even knowing what they are. You just know that they are in the range of pathogens that are harmful. So just get rid of them. So that's why I say it's a game changer, because it means here without the database meant that if you knew what the problem was, you could address it straight away. And now, even without knowing what the problem is, you can now address it straight away without even knowing what the problem is, without even knowing what the diagnosis is. So that's why it is a game changer. You can run something we call a reverse lookup, which I'll talk about shortly. So you can get a little bit more information. But again, it's a game changer. Straight out of the box, you can start doing a scan and you can start killing and helping people. What you might want to do is save that scan. You can do that also. You'll see that when the numbers come up, you will see that there is a little disk button to the right of where you see the numbers coming up. You hit that button and you can save the scan. If you save the scan, it means that you can run those frequencies again. So you may be running them in contact mode immediately as you've taken the scan. But if you save them, you can also decide that you're going to run them for 24 hours on the remote as well, sort of while you're sleeping or the person's sleeping or away from you. So that's why you'd save the scan. And you also may want to compare scans later on down the line for yourself or if you're treating somebody to see what keeps coming up and what's been consistent. What I talked about was the reverse lookup. Once the scans have come up, once the numbers have come up, and you see a list of numbers representing different pathogens, you'll see that you'll see on your screen. I've got a picture. You'll see that there's something that comes up that says reverse lookup. You can just click that button, and it will start comparing those numbers to what's in the database. So it's not telling you that this number equals a tapeworm and this number equals such and such bacteria, or this one equals E. coli. It's not doing it in that way. I have books that I've found in different places, not books and things I downloaded with lots of frequencies relating to lots of different pathogens, and sometimes I will use that to identify a particular pathogen directly, but most of the time I don't need to. I will, however, do the reverse lookup, and in the reverse lookup, you will see the number that's come up. If you see here, 791.027.06892019. And again, for example, Spooky2 goes to, I have to remember, is it 8 decimal places? So to 8 decimal places of a hertz, of 1 hertz, if you like, which is very, very fine. And it means you very targeted. So, and that's one of the great things about the Spooky2 Generator X. It goes to a higher frequencies than any other machine that I know of, and also it goes to a higher resolution, if you like, than any other machine that I know of. Maybe others know something else. So you see, it's very detailed how fine it goes, which means that those pathogens can be really directly targeted. So you see, it's got that database match 791.027. And what it's done now in the reverse lookup is telling you that something similar, a frequency very close to that, not necessarily the exact frequency, but very close to that, has been used in the following programs: a program for black pepper, a program for cancer of the genitalia in females, for chronic Lyme borreliosis, gynecology, eye cell disease, light sensitivity, certain infections, salbutamol. So it's telling you that that frequency of one very close to it has been used in one of those programs. And it's not diagnosing, it's not giving you a diagnosis. It's just letting you know. Does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? Will that be and if it does ring a bell, you might turn around and say, after I finish, I will actually go back and choose that particular program and run it on my client or myself. Sometimes you'll see that lots of hits come. It's hard to really work anything from that if lots and lots of hits come. Whereas below, when you see it says dyspepsia, which is some form of indigestion, and it's been used in the program for that one hit there, 45583.4893061. That's been used, or something very close to it has been used in a program for dyspepsia or indigestion. When you get one hit like that, you can probably take it a little bit more seriously, but it's not, again, a diagnosis. And what I find out, if I talk to the client, they will tell me, actually, I have been having some kind of indigestion or something like that. So if that's the case, then what you can do is go and run that program and go and run it on the client in perhaps a healing shell or maybe a killing shell. I have to work that out. And you can run that program on them. So that's the way you use a reverse lookup. It's an indication that may or not be useful. And I say it's not everybody's cup of tea because some very experienced people don't bother with it. They're not interested in it. They don't use it at all. I found it useful, and there are ways of narrowing the parameters. So you as like a tolerance level, you can narrow that level down in the reverse lookup. But it's a tool to play with, and just to see if it gives any indications. Now, my favorite, the hunt and kill protocol. Ooh. And it, what do you say? It does exactly what it says. Hunt and kill is a form of biofeedback, and it's a form of biofeedback, but it's a form of biofeedback. Then it scans and it runs automatically. So you have that. You have what we call hunt, scan and run. There's a click when you do the biofeedback. You can click on something called scan and run. So it will run the biofeedback scan and automatically just run the hits. So you run the biofeedback scan and it will run the hits. And when you run the biofeedback scan, the default is 10 hits, 10 most 10 hits making the most noise, but you can set it to 20, 25, 100, whatever. But hunt and kill is one on from that. Hunt and kill works by, it does the biofeedback scan, and then it automatically runs those hits in a killing shell. And then what it does now, it actually reruns that scan, but only around those numbers that were already selected, and kind of refines those numbers, those hits. Why does it do that? Because pathogens like to disguise themselves. Pathogens, when they are being hit, like anybody, if you're being hit, you do something to, hide yourself or move out the way or something like that. Pathogens do the same thing, and they will actually change their frequency. It'll be close to what they already had. They can't go from, very far away, but they can, they can change their frequency a little. So what the hunt and kill does, it does a biofeedback scan. If the frequency 901 were to come up, and it runs that frequency for 3 minutes, hitting it. Did we say 901? Yeah. So if that frequency runs 901 is the frequency it's hitting, for example, when it reruns the scan, it will search between, say, example, 898 and 903. And we'll rescan along those numbers to find out what that pathogen has changed to. And you may find that it's changed from 901 to 900.3 or something like that. And then what it does, it will run the hits again, targeting 900.3. So the way I say that is that it is as though so if there's a sentry in a sentry box guarding a place and you've got a robot that's hitting him, what will it do? It will turn away or stoop, and then you'd have to reprogram the robot to start hitting it where it is or something. So each one is taking a toll on that pathogen and weakening it until finally, you whacked it, followed it, whacked it, and then suddenly at some point it may finish killing that pathogen and it's gone completely. And you will notice on the scan that a lot of those pathogens stop changing, a lot of those numbers stop changing, or they move to the bottom of the list and they stop changing. So I tend to try and run this for at least 2 hours. So my protocol is that I will run the terrain protocol on clients. I run it on the terrain protocol, and then I'll tell them to come in if they're nearby, and I'll run the hunt and kill on them. And I say you've got to be here for at least 2 hours. Then I run it by contact mode. I'll show you briefly what I mean. So as usual, we go to the home database. We click biofeedback. You see there you've got hunt and kill. And do it in contact mode there, hunt and kill using the contact mode. I've gone to contacts, yeah. Contact mode. And then control panel again. Overwrite generator. This instance we use generator 4. My generator 4 on there relates to my generator 1 on my machine. We'll go to generator 4. We'll start the scan. I'm pushing scan. Oh, sorry. Let's change the name. Always do try and change the name in case you need to save it. I change the name, make sure the name is there, so that if I want to save the scan, I can save it. You see the frequency runs between 41,000 hertz and 1.8 million hertz. Those are the frequencies it will search between. Maximum hits to find are normally 10. I always like an odd number, so I always put 11 if I'm doing a short scan and hunt and kill. I like odd numbers. Then I'll push scan, and you'll see that oh, sorry, I selected generator 3. I forgot. You'll see that generator 3 turned purple because that's when it's scanning, it does turn purple. And you'll see that the other generator 4, has turned yellow, which is on standby mode, because when you have more than one generator attached to your computer, when one of them is scanning, all the other generators are paused so they can concentrate on the scanning and it's not getting all these different frequencies causing interference. Okay, so that is the hunt and kill protocol, which I said I like very much. It's my favorite. And you can also do the hunt and kill in remote mode. In this instance, you will use the remote and what's called the sample digitizer. The sample digitizer, the one that looks like a remote, if you like, it's not. I did actually call up, as I said, Spooky2 at the beginning, say, you sent me 3 remotes and no sample digitizer. That was wrong. So those are the slides. You have the slides that go in the sample digitizer. And in there, you will put your liquid DNA, for example, some saliva or blood. You will, in the sort of that E that's inside, the black E. And then you will face down the other slide on top of that. So sandwich the saliva into the slides. You will fit them. There's only one way they can fit into the, should have turned them around actually, in the slide, but only one way they fit into the digitizer. And then you secure them into there. And then you will fit the digitizer to, let's say, to generator 1, output 1 on generator 1. And then you will take your DNA sample, in this instance, a fingernail. You'll fit it into your remote. Shut the remote. You would attach your remote to the BN port on the boost, which is actually the other side. I've got it on the wrong side, not the one on the right, the one on the left. You'll fit it to that port, and then you'll fit the port to your generator 2. And then you will do exactly the same thing, but you will choose hunt and kill, and you'll go remote. And when you before you hit the start scan, you'll see you'll overwrite the generator as normal. You'll choose generator 1, and before you push the scan button, it will say it will ask you where to run the hits, and you will select generator 2. Otherwise, it's exactly the same, and you leave that running. I love to leave this running overnight. Get some saliva. If I feel something coming on, and I don't want to be attached to the machine, I tend to just do this take with my saliva, and run hunt and kill by remote and just leave it running overnight. Probably by the time you wake up, some of you might see the saliva become quite dry. Once it's dry, it's no use again. Some of you will use blood, and particularly if you're used to playing with blood or kind of more clinic setting, you may want to use the digitizer to analyze blood or other fluids, etc. So it depends what your setup is. Blood is good, but I tend to use the saliva because I'm not that used to messing around with blood, and I'm squeamish. Okay, so that's hunt and kill, contact mode, and remote mode. And I say that is my favorite. If you're not doing it, then definitely one you should do. The other thing to do is imprinting. Imprinting water, oils, and stickers. Remember, everything about the Spooky2, everything about Rife frequencies, getting frequencies into the body. You said you can do it by contact mode, using various accessories, and you do it by remote mode. And it's about getting, using your DNA like a fingernail, and it's about getting frequencies into the body and that the frequencies do their work. So another way of getting frequencies into the body is by getting frequencies into something like water, to oil, and onto stickers. You can drink the water, you can rub the oil on your skin, and you can stick the stickers to your skin. These must be what we call holographic stickers, a sort of they have a sort of metallic magnetic field, metal metallic field. If you can see a picture of those, and they basically can hold memory, if you like, type of stickers. So if you can get frequencies into those things, you can help get frequencies into your body to complement what you're doing, maybe by remote and contact mode. Some people will use the PEMF coil and put it under the glass of water and will run frequencies into it that way. Some will put could use the 10 pads, but some will use the cold laser wrist, and put it around the glass of water and will get the frequencies into it that way. Others will put the stickers into a remote and get the frequencies into it that way. There are all suggestions about the best way of doing that, and maybe changing how long each frequency runs for. rather than 3 minutes, maybe half a second, things like that. They're different ways of doing it to examine. I have probably not made as much use of this as I would like to, and but some people they that's, I won't say it's their main thing, but they do it all the time. They do it all the time, particularly with the stickers, and others do it all the time on the essential oils that they're using. They will add frequencies to it. And others, if they're taking molecular weights, like taking something like aspirin or something, they will also put that frequency into the water and drink it along with running the molecular weight program into them directly. And also, if they're taking the actual pharmaceutical drug, they'll complement it with the water and so on. So that's imprinting. And this is something, a slide I got from someone else did a webinar, a lady called Tonya Vekri from Greece, and I was watching her webinar on imprinting, and she had worked out that on water, the thing most effective for imprinting was a cold laser wrist. So putting that around around the glass of water, and she had found that of all the different materials that she used, water was the most effective in retaining the imprinting. So that's an indication if you want to imprint water, then perhaps using the cold laser wrist might be a good way of getting an additional way of getting frequencies into your body. And she did always use Spooky2 plasma and scalar as well, which she did find a little bit more effective. I just thought I'd tell you that, those who want to experiment with imprinting. I think you just have to look online where to get stickers. I do believe Spooky2 have stickers because they sent me some the other day. The other thing, of course, with the Generator X Pro is that it does work in standalone mode. Why would you want to use standalone mode? Because you don't have to be attached to the computer. What you do have to do is get the programs that you want to run into the, upload them into the Generator X Pro. It can hold 30 programs, which is available for both Generator 1 and Generator 2. So it's not 30 each, it's 30 programs. And then you can, for example, take the program, if you want to, take it to your bedroom, run it overnight. You could then run that program overnight without having to take the computer upstairs with if your bedroom's upstairs. Take the computer upstairs with you, whatever it is. You could just plug in the Generator X Pro, attach the 10 pads, to the Generator X into your body, and then hit the start button. So that's why you would use it, but you have to upload the programs before. For example, in the standalone mode, you could set up the terrain protocol with its 15 presets. You could add them as a program each into the Generator X Pro memory. In fact, there are two ways to do it. You can load them all at once, and you see there's a link down there. If you go to that link in Spooky2, you'll see that they have directions as how to load all the programs all at once of the terrain protocol into your Generator X Pro. Because although I did show you how to do the terrain protocol in remote mode, which is the one I tend to use, there is a possibility of running in contact mode, which will be running it for a couple of hours a day for each program, maybe running 2 programs a day. So probably do it in half the time, in days. And so you can do that. So in terms of loading the Generator X, for example, you can see what I've got there as directions, home, detox, terrain. So you're loading the program, the control tab, overwrite generator, and then you just select the desired preset, and you'll see a load icon on the screen, load Generator X. You just click that, and then you can save it to this space where you want to. I won't show it again. There are webinars online for many of these things. For myself, I'm sure there's one that I did for molecular weights, there's one I did for the terrain protocol, and one I did for biofeedback, which have a lot more detail in doing these things. And there are other webinars, and you can get them all at the Spooky2 Academy. Again, so if you were loading the terrain protocol, you'd go home, just detox. You could press remote or contact, but then you'd go to the terrain, probably better with contact actually here. Then you'd go to the terrain, then you choose your preset. Again, the same one we use for terrain. You'd go there as though you're about to run it. And then instead of starting, you see you've got preset 1 there. And instead of pushing the start button, you go down where it says load generator. And you push that button. And another screen will come up. And that will show you all the programs that are already loaded, if you already loaded things on the program. And then you can choose where you want to load the preset. It's already there, preset 1, remove metals. And you could put it to whichever number preset you want it to go to. And then you just push the save button. So again, so if you want to use standalone mode, there are programs, for example, that you particularly want to run on yourself quite often, and you want to run them at night time, then I would suggest that maybe preloading them onto the Generator X Pro in standalone mode. Just a quick word about cancer. I said many people have got your Generator X Pro because you have a particular chronic illness that you have, or something, or someone you know in your family has it, and you want to, and that's why you got your your preset. And as we said, Royal Raymond Rife, we used it for cancer. The ultimate killing machine, if you like, for killing cancer, Spooky2 would be what we call the plasma, either the central unit and plasma. That's like the ultimate killing machine. But you use what you have, and if you have the Spooky2 Generator X Pro, it's still a wonderful machine. But like if you're treating cancer for anybody, you wouldn't make your Spooky2 the only thing you use. So because it comes up so often, I keep updating this slide. And if someone comes in with cancer, I'm going to tell them to cut out sugars from their diet because cancer loves sugar. I'm going to tell them to fast frequently and also exercise regularly. I'm going to tell them to stay hydrated. I'm going to tell them to add apricot kernels, legumes like lentils and so to their diet. Essiac tea, a highly recommended tea, soursop leaves, and add those things to their diet. I'm going to tell them to significantly and urgently increase their vitamin D levels. Urgently, even if they're going to chemotherapy, even more so, to increase your vitamin D levels. From a spiritual point of view, give charity, give generous. That helps. We know that, and then you target and kill cancer with Rife, with our Spooky2. You target the cells, and there is a cancer protocol in Spooky2. You use that. Flood the body with oxygen because cancer cells dislike oxygen. So if you have access to a hyperbaric oxygen chamber or something like that, then use that. And one I got the other day was to use molasses and bicarbonate of soda or syrup. And I thought that doesn't make sense because it's a sugar. But they said mix the bicarbonate of soda with the molasses in water. We go to bed, drink it. And I thought, And they said, yes, because the cancer cells will grab onto the sugar and then the bicarbonate of soda will kill them. So like a Trojan horse. I thought, So again, whatever you know about cancer, do that along with your Rife treatments. And I said, there's a Spooky2 cancer protocol, and there are some good webinars, explaining the protocol. What I did, I went through the protocol myself and then sort of made it my own with my own spreadsheet there so I could understand it. And then I would make a program. Anybody comes with cancer, I will make a bespoke program. So it uses the whatever you have, whatever generators you have. If you have 1, 2, 4 generators, we use them. If you have plasma, it will tell you to use them, or scalar. It will tell you what to run, for how long to run, which scans to do, and then add the scans in, etc. So it's like it's a really fantastic thing, and yeah, something to make use of. Okay, we'll come to the end. There are other matters which I haven't gone into in detail, but frequency sweeps where Spooky2 will sweep, if you like, run a killing program between certain frequencies, looking for particular types of pathogens. Morgellons and Lyme disease is like there's a protocol a bit like the cancer protocol. There's an environmental preset, if you look on the homepage, which is about, look, there are things like dust mites and molds. If you get examples of them, you can put them in the in either the digitizer or the remote, and then you can run killing programs on them sort of remotely. Special programs for COVID-19. Yeah, there's so much more, but I hope I've given you a good start if you're really a beginner. And I'm sure there have been lots. I haven't been looking at the chat, but I'm sure there have been some great suggestions in the chat. There always are. If you have any questions, you can go to the Spooky2 support. Send an email to Spooky2 support or support@spooky2mail.com. And I will try and also answer some questions if I can see the, here we go, Q&A questions. I will try and, I'm sure some of them have been answered already, so I'll run through them as quick as I can and answer some of these questions. Can you kill with the generator, the XM generator? Definitely. Is there a need to stop medicines when I start using my GenX? No. Is there a die-off when using the equipment? Not quite sure what you mean, but I suppose you can either assume, two things, either that a pathogen is no longer there or dead if it is not showing up on a scan, or at least it's not making as much noise, if you like, so it's probably doing less harm than it was. And again, when you do scans, remember the default is 10, but you can also do a scan of 50, 50 top pathogens, if you like, to see way down. Some people do 50 and they just run that on remote. No harm in that. Does the basic program wave between transmitter and receiver, kill or heal? I'm not quite sure what question it means. You choose a preset you want to kill or heal. If heal builds immunity, is it bad? If you have problems with immunity, then you definitely want to use them as the healing presets to help build up your immunity. That's a definite. Rife therapies are a form of, if you like, bioresonance. Bioresonance is like a catch-all to do with Rife, FSM, Zappa. All these things, if you like, come under bioresonance, in my opinion. And Rife frequencies are just a form of that. How long does it take to imprint with the PMF coil? I cannot remember. I can't remember. I know people do use that. I'm not sure how long it takes. I have done it, but I've not done it for so long I sort of don't remember. When using it for your pets, you definitely would use remote, and I'm sure many people use it for use it in contact mode as well. I'm not sure what the preferred contact mode is for like dogs and cats, etc. The connection between Burkina Labs. I'm not sure I've heard of Burkina. I can't remember what the connection is. If there is one, maybe Zara can answer that. If a program says to use the high power port, will the colloidal port instead diminish it? Yes, because the colloidal silver port is a low power port. But if it suggests to use a high power port, it's for a good reason. So I would use the high power port. Unless when you're using the high power port, if it's contact mode, if you find it starts to really, you start having pain or it start to hurt you in some way, and you can't tolerate, then you would move to the low power port. But it's by, yeah. Someone has used it for cataracts. There is something which I didn't mention called a grade scan. And if you do a search on, if you sort of, it's part of the biofeedback scans, if you like. It's called a grade scan. You choose a grade scan, and then you would go to the programs database, and you would choose all the programs related to cataracts or eyes, or as many as you want to, and then you would do a grade scan, and it will sort of rank all the frequencies in all those programs in terms of how much benefit they will be to you. So you could choose the top 10 or 20 frequencies that come up and make a program from that, a grade scan from that, and that will probably be more effective than just running if you're getting no joy with the actual programs themselves. In terms of shoulder injury, I don't know if you can run a program directly to see what the problem is with a shoulder injury. I'm not sure, but there are programs that to help with frozen shoulder where you might put the pads up on your shoulder directly, never above neck or up, but on the shoulder. So you can run those healing programs and put the pads either side of your shoulder. If you so someone asks if can you heal anxiety or similar things, when you go to they may not be in the main database, but if you let's say I'm not sure exactly. I remember being sent them. Well, I can't remember where exactly I got them from, or if they're actually loaded in the. I think they may come in the new programs. It's the DH David Halliday. It says experimental frequencies. They are all frequencies to do with like emotions and so on and that type of thing, anxiety. They're a whole load of programs, just like the normal program data is to do with those things, and they have their own sort of equivalent to the terrain protocol as well. And if you go on any of the forums, everybody will tell you to use those, the DH, David Halliday experimental frequencies. And I do use them for those things as well. And a lot of people use them. So yes. Can you do heavy metal detox with Spooky2? Yes, definitely you have to. It's part of the terrain protocol is detox. It starts with a remove metals. In fact, it also has a remove metals minus mercury because some people, if they have mercury fillings in their teeth, sometimes that can cause a bit of pain if you run the normal remove metals protocol. So before you start the terrain protocol on anybody, if they have mercury, like metal fillings in their teeth, then run the one that says remove metal terrain minus mercury. That's the one you run. But definitely heavy metal detox is part of the terrain protocol. And what's his Bill McGraw? He's one of the Spooky2 trainers. He always gives some great webinars on removing heavy metals. So again, go to Spooky2 Academy and search for one of his webinars. Yeah, you don't have to go to a submenu, just searching the program database. I was just explaining that it's got these different that in within those databases there are so many things, but you can search just within one of those sub databases if you want to. Is there a program for exorcism? Probably not in Spooky 2. Yeah. Yeah. I yeah, I won't say there's a program. There are different things that different people use depending what belief they have. There's something we use called Ruqya, which is to do with the Quran and water. Your water is essential. Anyway, that's for not for here. Will running the programs related to medicine include all the side effects? No. In fact, that's why you want to run it using the MW database and molecular weights because you won't have those side effects generally. After the biofeedback, it's up to you to use the reverse lookup to see if there's an indication of what other programs you might want to run. But also you have to, interrogate and talk to the person who've done the scan on. They may also already have some ailments they want to be addressed. And if you talk to them about what's showing up on the scan, often they will tell you, actually, yes, I do have indigestion problem. Like I said, so talk to people, but don't frighten them because it's not a diagnosis tool. So make sure you're not telling people, oh, I saw cancer, you have cancer. Cancer comes up a lot in the biofeedback scan. So if they suspect they have cancer or something, that's different. Oh, when I talked about Spooky2, I said that part of the healing process was uh unblocking, which I said which wasn't about unblocking. Well, it is in some degree, but I said it will identify and eliminate pathogens. I said it would help build the immune system and will get good healing frequencies into the body to build up your body. I think those are the three things I mentioned. I'm having difficulty using the 24-hour protocols. I'm not sure. I'd have to be more specific on the problem. A lot of them, the presets, the healing ones, they go yellow, which means they're on sort of standby mode because they're going to start at a particular time. Like I said, one of them, for example, starts at 1 o'clock in the morning, goes till 5. So if you see the generator button turn yellow, it's not working. It means it will start at a particular time. Tweezers, I suppose you mean for handling the DNA sample. If it's your own, probably not. But if you're using other people's handling their samples, then I think tweezers is a good thing to use. No, you don't have to stop using other therapies when using a Rife. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. Um, I'm not saying that in some cases it might not be a good idea, but that probably depend on what you're treating. Can the Heal program remove to standalone? No, because some of them can. Yes, I think some of the programs individually can be moved to standalone, but not the whole preset, because the whole preset is very specific and you need to be attached to the computer. But you'll see that the preset is made up of specific programs, and you can find those individual programs in the database, and you can move those to the standalone mode, to the memory of the Generator X Pro. Yes, you can still do biofeedback for someone with metal in their hip because it's searching for things that are living and vibrating. No, killing cannot. It's not just with BFB. If people know what they have when a pathogen is identified or someone's been told they have such a flu or they have this particular ailment, which is some kind of pathogen in their body, then you can search for a program that just deals with that pathogen or deals with that ailment, like flu. Someone says they've got bird flu, you can just search for bird flu in the program, just run bird flu, and that'll be run in a killing preset. In terms of some talk about where to place the TENS pads. Obviously, when you're doing biofeedback, we say it's across the stomach, if you like, two sides of your stomach, because that's where most pathogens tend to reside and where they're active. And you don't put TENS pads when running the Spooky2 above the shoulder. However, if you're using something like the Microgen Hiwi and you're running in FSM mode, low power mode, then you can run things a bit higher, but you have to be very specific and very careful on that. Can you use the remote for BFB? No, you can't use the remote, but you can, as I said, use the scalar digitizer and run the BFB, if you like, on the saliva or blood sample used in the scalar digitizer. I would run. I mean, you can run the biofeedback anytime, but definitely my standard is that I will run the terrain detox, and then I will, after that, maybe a day or so, if the people are nearby, someone local, then I'll give them a chance to take a breather. Then I'll run a detailed biofeedback or hunt and kill program on them to kind of follow that up. But a lot of the time, people come to me, and even if they're not at the protocol, I'll just run a biofeedback just to see what comes up, and it's better than nothing to run a biofeedback and a scan and run program, and then also you can just do a reverse lookup to see what comes up and have a conversation with the person. Again, if you look, there's research out there. There's lots of information out there. You go on the forums where people have lists of the frequencies and what pathogens they relate to. With the remote, the good thing about the remote, you can run it 24/7 if you want to, and some of the programs will tell you how long to run it for. But again, with the remote, you can actually run it 24/7 is up to you. And remember, it's not as powerful as running the contact. So that's why you'd run the remote longer. Will you feel dizzy while it runs? Not. I don't hear people saying they feel dizzy. Some people do feel a tingling. Some people feel different things. Some people feel a tingle if they're running the contact. They sometimes feel a little buzzing around them. Some do, some don't. Or they just feel it at the beginning when it changes frequencies. Others, when I've done when treated remotely, they'll tell you when they're doing the terrain by remote, they'll tell you they'll feel different things at different times. And again, if people start to feel pain, I just take their fingernail out for a while and let them, and for a couple of hours, and then either put them back in, or if they feel pain again, then I just take them off that. Uh, you have to do research in terms of finding where the frequencies are, but there's lots of stuff available online. Most remote programs will loop, will run 24/7 and loop. Most programs will just loop if you don't stop them. But there is a way in the program, you'll see where you can tell it to run on loop, or you can tell it to just run once or twice, 3 times, whatever. So you can set that. It's in the control tab. Yep, you can't do the biofeedback and reverse lookup using the nail. It's really not. It's not for that. It's for you're just running the frequencies into the nail. When you save a program, it saves to the computer, and it saves in your. If it's a biofeedback scan, it saves into the BFB sub database. And if it's a program you made, it will save to the custom database, CUST. It won't save to the generator. You have to upload something to the generator directly. My device I bought does not reflect the Pro X. It only shows the Pro. Well, that normally the other way around. It would normally show the generator X, and then you have the generator X Pro. The generator X is not sold anymore by Spooky2. They've gravitated the generator X Pro. That's the one that's sold. You may have the generator X, which can do most of what we said here. Perhaps Zara can expand on what it can't do. But the one that's been sold now is just the Generator X Pro. So it's unlikely you got a Generator Pro without the X. Well, you know what you have. Yes, you can run. Yeah, you can run. You can put stickers on while you're running the terrain protocol by remote. That's fine. If you're running a biofeedback scan, I would suggest taking off the stickers so that the biofeedback scan doesn't then start getting those. How long do fingers have to be? I would just say just from your cut piece of finger. I don't think there's any particular size. Yes, hunt and kill on remote, which I explained earlier. You can do it remote using the so you can do it on contact mode, or you can use the sample digitizer and the remote to do it. Very effective. My twin cold laser device does not light up when I put it in my nose. I don't know about that. Obviously, you shouldn't be looking at them directly anyway. That's one. So if you are going to look at them, make sure you're wearing the dark glasses. I think they should light up, but I don't know why they might not be. You'll have to send an email to support at spooky2-mail.com. That's probably the best thing to do. Yep, contact mode, biofeedback scan, TENS pads around the stomach area. Recordings will be on Spooky2 Academy. That's where you'll see lots of this recording, lots of other webinars, including the ones I've done previously on the terrain protocol, the biofeedback, and the molecular weights. You'll find them on there. Yes, I described the hunter killing contact mode. Again, I said the hunt and kill, the DNA goes in the remote, and the liquid sample goes in between the sample digitizer slides. I don't quite get that about the frequencies there. You see, if you have two remotes operating, if you have two remotes operating on your generator X or attached to, or any generators attached to your computer, once you start to do any kind of biofeedback scan, all the generators will be paused. You'll see the box go yellow. You'll see the little box go yellow. All the generators will be paused so that they don't interfere with the scan. So you don't need to stop them directly. It will automatically stop if they're attached to the same computer or the same generator. If I touch the DNA, will it contaminate the sample? Possibly. I don't know, actually. I don't know. Really don't know. Yeah, but someone is suggesting uses gloves and tweezers. No problem with the stickers. My new Generate Expert does not reflect in my program. Can any assist online? Again, I'd say speak to support at Spooky2 directly, but it's you you have to probably do a little test to see which number, because you'll see generators. Obviously, your first generators, generator 1 and 2 on your Spooky2, but often 1 and 2 doesn't relate to that on your software. It might say 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. So you have to work out which generator number on your software refers to which generator on your hardware, if you like. There's a way of doing that which I won't go into now, but there is help on the Spooky2 forum for that. And in those short programs I told you about, there's a way of testing which one. Can all programs run at the same time? Not what you mean. You're restricted to. You can chain programs together and have them run in sequence, and you can run as many programs as there are at one time as generators that you have. Yes. Can I send sticks from Germany to the USA? Yes. And you can send your fingernails from the USA to Germany. Yes, you can do that. And many Spooky2 and Rife practitioners treat people in different countries all over the world. They send them their fingernails by post, and they're being treated effectively by remote. If you look at some practice, you see walls full of, walls full of generators, and they're all treating people in different countries, different places. People they've never actually met. They've done a consultation online, and they just sent them their fingernails. Obviously, the biofeedback scan is more difficult to do, so it's yeah. Fleas on dogs, I would suggest you probably might want to use remote in some way. And if you look at the environmental programs in the healing, you see something, or when you go to the main home page, you'll see there's something about environmental. That's good for dealing with things like fleas and molds, for example. You might want to take a sample. Someone asked when they say die off, do you mean that the pathogens do release toxins? Yes, that's a different thing. Yes, so when pathogens die, you do want to get them out of your body as soon as possible. So when you're killing, they will normally be flushed out. Sometimes your body is, if you like, trying to flush out these toxins, these dead pathogens, trying to flush them out, and it can't flush them out fast enough. It can't keep up with the rate they're dying. Sometimes you get something that's called a Herxheimer reaction, which means that you then have to, the body sort of has a reaction. If that happens, then sometimes you just slow down the killing and let your body catch up. I make a tonic, a tincture that I give people, a very bitter tincture. with black walnut and some other things in there, and I get them to take that detox bitters while they're doing the terrain detox, or just after normally. Sometimes I forget. And that normally helps to flush out a lot of the toxins as well. So that's a good thing to have. But if you have any reaction like that, just ease off the killing for a moment and let the body catch up. That's the way to do it. And also you do have, when you do kill or have a terrain detox, you may see stuff coming out your body. So, have a look, you may see coming out, in your urine, in your feces, through your pores sometimes. So that's to be expected. And that's what we call it a healing reaction. That when you're healing, sometimes the body does that. It starts to force stuff out. So sometimes people get alarmed and they stop a bit quickly. But so there's a healing reaction and there's a Herxheimer reaction. And you can help this by taking some sort of detoxification bitters to help with the process. Just saying, if you have scalar or plasma, they are also effective at imprinting. But in terms of our generator X, it would seem, from what I gather, and this is someone else's recommendation, that if you've got the generator X Pro only, then using the wrist, the cold laser wrist, with water is probably a very effective way of imprinting water. If you're imprinting stickers, you'll definitely have to use the remote. To add remotes, what equipment do I need? XM or Generator X Pro? You can use, if you've got a Generator X already, you can also buy lots of other XMs, obviously much cheaper, and just to run remote. A lot of people buy extra XM machines just to run remotes, just to run the terrain protocol, etc. It's fine. So because the terrain protocol is fixed programs, and they with fixed frequencies, so they can run on the terrain, on the XM just as much. So yeah, there's no harm buying XM machine just to run certain programs. Is there a gentle way of killing? You can just slow down the process, or you can sometimes you can lose low power mode. You use the contact mode for a headache. For a headache, depends what programs you run. You could run if you've previously used a pharmaceutical product, like an ibuprofen. If that has helped you in the past, you could run that in a molecular weight frequency. You could run that program because it's worked with you before. Run it and run it for as long as you need to. See how long it takes to get the same effect. You could also imprint water with the same thing and drink that as well to help along. And you could also do, it's harder to do at that time when you've got a headache, but you could do a grade scan. You could select a lot of or all the programs to do with headaches, do a grade scan and choose the 10 or 15 top frequencies, and then make a program from that and run that. That might be effective. Is there any way to activate charcoal with Generator X? I don't know. Please indicate the route to download my GenX Pro. Oh, I see. I think you might be talking about the software. I think in the software, it may say Generator X in the software and not say GenX Pro. Now, once you've got the latest software, it covers Generator X and Generator X Pro. I think it covers XM as well. Yeah, so it covers everything. So I see that once you've got the latest software, it covers everything. Even though you may not see Generator X Pro on some of the pages of the software. I get that. Okay. Can this reverse cataracts? I'm sure it can be useful, and again, I would probably have to use it with other remedies, other herbal remedies, other remedies, I would say. Tumors and cysts, is that killing or healing? Not sure actually. I'm sure if you go to the program, it might indicate which one to use. I suspect healing. There's also a preset called Universal Square H bomb, which is kind of one kind of go to if you're not sure. That's the preset that one uses a lot. Cornea, you have to check the database. Yeah. Yes, you can do a baseline. Yes, there is a thing of doing a baseline. I didn't talk about it in biofeedback, but there is a thing of doing a baseline where you can either if you're using the tens pads, you can either turn two of them upright, or you can stick them together and you can run that baseline button. What the baseline does is say that it's kind of filtering out what's already there, and then you should get a more accurate scan. So it's always recommended to do a baseline before any scan. I must admit I don't do it that often. With the fibroids, you just have to check the database. With a detoxing from an addictive substance, you have to really talk to someone who really deals with substance abuse or addictions. So I'm not really any kind of specialist in that, but I do gather there must be some similarity to wearing nicotine patches and gradually weaning yourself off the live product, if you like, onto the frequencies and then getting off the frequencies. So I believe it's something like that, but I don't know. The stickers will, if you've got them next to anything magnetic or like a mobile phone, they'll be wiped clean. Yes, they'll wipe off. So you have to be careful what you put them next to. For eye floaters, again, you wouldn't, I'm not sure where you place the tens pads. You might have to go to Spooky2 support for that. Once you've done the scan, you just run the BFB results, I would say straight away, and see what comes up. I don't generally save the results, um, the reverse lookup results. I just look at it there and then and see what's indicated if it's useful. I might make a note of something and say, look into that, or ask the person about this or ask the person about that. And so it's just to me just something to indicate what you might look at. Yeah, when you run the biofeedback results, you don't get the same results when you run back to back. Yeah, because actually, just by doing the biofeedback scan, you are running those frequencies into your body. And so you've already sort of done something and messed with something with those frequencies. But also it's right there and then, and you don't know what's interfering with it. The way you're sitting, what you were doing, all those things interfere with the scan. So you're very unlikely to get the same result back to back. What you're looking for over time is those things that keep reoccurring. That's what you want to look for over time. Now, I wouldn't say you'd run the laser on your forehead because you want anything. We're not talking about running anything above the shoulder, the frequencies, unless it's so. But you could wrap it around your leg, for example. There may be other information on that. To be honest, you probably have to again chat to Spooky2 support that one directly. Are the tens pads more powerful than all the silver handles? The tens pads you can place directly close to the spot that you want to scan or you want to treat, if you like. The cylinders, I would say they're probably just as strong. You're holding them. Sometimes you feel more tingling, so on. They're harder to hold for people, and they may sometimes be further away from where you want to treat and further away from the pathogens, etc. So, but they're probably just as strong, I think. When you're loading a program, you can just double click it if you or push the minus button if you like or probably just double click it and it will delete that program when you're loading programs. As I said, that when you're running the biofeedback scan, it stops all other generators automatically. It's not that you get a license to treat people with Spooky2 because this really is a home treatment, and the beautiful thing about Spooky2 rifle machines is that you're not harming anybody. It's really difficult, really difficult to harm anybody with frequencies. Your body, if it doesn't need it, just doesn't use it. But what I would say is you would watch as many webinars as you can and live training events. And also, if you've got any questions outside of that or you want specific training, then get in touch with one of the Spooky2 certified trainers, which includes myself. You can find them when you go to Spooky2 Academy. You can see a list of some of the trainers there, and you can have one-to-one sessions with them, and get any training you want there. If you have the fillings, the amalgam or mercury fillings, then you will have to find another way to detox from the mercury rather than the terrain protocol. And that's a precaution. And then when you are detoxing from it, it's just to be careful that it doesn't you don't feel the pain. But best of all, if you've got those fillings, to get them removed by your dentist, to get them replaced with ceramic or other fillings. That's for everybody. Everybody's got those metal or mercury fillings or amalgam fillings, and I would get them replaced as soon as possible with ceramic fillings. Yeah, you can contact me and I can tell you what I use for my detox. Yeah. Can we use generator X for optic nerve damage? I'm assuming so, but I'm not a specialist on that. I'm not assuming that. I do actually use a hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber. In my practice, we have one that we use, and people do use it for things like that, actually. In terms of the migraines, I would start with you've got lasers. I would start with the contact, maybe the TENS pads, and then also try remotes. Yep, you can add as many generators as you want, and you can run them from the same computer if you have a USB extension thing, or you have enough USB ports on your computer. Yeah, as many generators as you want. SNY assistance for frequencies would be appreciated. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, any assistance for frequencies. Yeah, that's again, all the programs contain frequencies, and if you go onto one of the forums, one of the Spooky2 forums, Spooky2 portal, and ask the question about frequencies, you'll probably get people sending you a list of different databases of frequencies and what pathogens they relate to. Can you run more than one program one person? Yes, but I would just say that if you're scanning, then stop the other treatments while you're scanning, and then, well, if they're actually attached, then they'll stop running automatically. But so if you're scanning, then stop the programs on the other person, but you can run as many things on them at one time as you want. So I think that is all. That's all the questions. So I'll leave it there. You can contact me directly. I'm based in Norwich in the UK. There are contact details. And also, if you want to order another generator or any accessories, then please do use the code 0211AMAL, and you get 5% discount up to March 11th. And I hope I get something from that. I just supposed to get some points or something, actually. But definitely use the discount code. It's available till till middle of March. And if you're buying any generators or anything else or any accessories, then please do use it. And you can see ways to contact me there. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact me and also make use of Spooky2 support. I hope that's okay. I thank you for being here. And sorry that this one was a bit of a long one. Where am I?